Thank you so much for showing up. As always, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to show up. Time's a valuable thing. Spending a little bit of yours with me is greatly appreciated. So thank you so much. Hey, Maddie Two Hats first in the lineup. Thank you so much, Maddie. It's good to see you, sir. How you been? Um, yeah, guys. Well, while I wait for this commercial to play so I can see what my image looks like, I shall ramble on about things that happened here in the upstairs to the right studio the last few days since we spoke. Where to start? Well, so I put up the video playing the three different strats, the Greco, the Tokai, and Squire, and put up a little bit of and I actually should do an impromptu kind of poll on that. I think I am going to do that attached to my community page uh, because it's not quite getting traction yet. But some people have answered in and gave their opinion on which it was a blind test. What were the ceramic pickups? In other words, which was the Squire, which was the Greco, and which was the Tokai. And hey, Ben, how you doing, sir? Mr. in the house. Good evening to you too, sir. And I said in the video that I would, on this live stream, talk about reveal, which was which, and I shall do so right now because I want to talk about it for a moment with you guys in particular. A minute. um, as just about everybody picked out was the Squire. So there was no hiding the ceramic pickups. I am curious as to why people thought that that was a Squire in their own opinion, because everybody's ears are different. Uh, B, which is where it started getting, nobody picked out after that. Everybody thought B was the Tokai, B was the Greco, and C was the Tokai. And you can see after I recorded that video, I came to you guys and I said, hey, wait a minute. I know I was talking smack about this Tokai, but you know what? It actually is the best sounding one of all three of them. Actually, in order, in my opinion, the Tokai sounded best. So C, A, and B, the Greco being last, in my opinion, in terms of sounding good. The ceramic pickups on the Squire do have a ring to them. Everything was set. I made sure, measured, and made sure that all the pickups were the same height, same strings. 'Cause I use the same strings all the time, Slinkies, and going through my Laney. And honestly, that those U stamp pickups in that Tokai are fantastic. I really, really enjoyed the way that they sounded. So if you haven't done so already, take the time to go to my regular content and listen to them. Now, I spoiled a little bit for you, but listen to them and tell which one you think was really, your favorite. Now, I'd like to know and why. I really, really enjoy lately those U pickups in the Toka. Now you can understand why I've said, damn it, I'm going to get myself a vintage guitar, even beater, whatever, for myself a little bit better than a beater, but for myself with those U stamp pickups because I really like the way those are the sound of Strat pickups that I think is it sounds like a Strat to me, you know. And it's no wonder because the Japanese took those pickups from a 54 Strat and reversed and engineered them, and boy, they did right on the money. So yeah. So take a listen to that video, or take a look at it, take a listen to it, and tell me what you think. I'd love to hear you guys' opinion on that. And speaking of that amp, that Laney amp, you know. I call that amp the Truth. It does actually, that amp actually has a name. It's called the Truth. Because it's got that, first of all, it's a pretty decent valve amp. And second of all, again, I was fortunate enough to be able to put a Celestian Greenback in there. It's 1972 with the original was it Pulsonic Pulsonic cone? Get the name of it. Yeah, Pulsonic cone. And it just sounds lovely. It sounds wonderful. But I was perusing through Reverb, and at one point, just one of those Rolla, or even up to, I would say, about 73 greenbacks, would fetch you around $700 US. $700 US. They were not cheap. They really spiked up there for a minute, and people were selling a set of those for 1,400. At one point. At one point. uh, and I was on Reverb, and I just had a thought about it. I said, what are those going for these days? And I was quite surprised to see that they've gone back down to I bought four of them, but I paid nowhere near that. What basically, actually, I think I paid about $100 per, but when it worked out, or something like that. But they're down to about $400 now. 380, 400. And I was like, wow. There's something that's going. They're holding there. They don't go any lower than that, but they're certainly not going to go higher than that anytime soon. And I found that interesting. Now, of course, I'm not letting go. I've had that amp for coming up a decade now, and a little bit less, but we'll get up to a decade. And there is absolutely no way in God's green heaven that I'm ever going to let that go. I just like that amp very much. But it got me into mind of something that Gary's Guitar Channel. So if you haven't checked out his channel, take the time to take a look. And he's a small guitar shop owner. And some that Monday I might actually be here in Amsterdam, but I digress. And I like listening to him because he's in the trenches, so to speak, much in kind of a way that I am, because I deal with a lot of small shops. And I'm always negotiating price, always, and it's tough, and it's getting tougher. And by the way, Matty Two Hats, I reckon any bot who mentions Obama gets blocked. Ben Allmark, absolutely, Matty. I know. I mean, I'm better looking than that guy. Come on. that bot needs glasses. And by the way, Maddie, I'm going to add you. If you're interested, I'd like to add you or Ben, or both of you as moderators. If you're interested, let me know. I can do that right here, apparently at the push of a button. Anyway, his thoughts pretty dire, and Gary's pretty much a shoot from the hip kind of guy, and he really foresees more turbulence in the retail instrument market. He sees the title of his videos it's a series that he's doing. He's already on part 3 called Used Guitar Apocalypse. And I love it. I love it. His insights are very helpful for me, actually, to tell you the truth, because again, it lets me know what's going on. He's in the States, but it's across the board, guys, and certainly here in Europe, it's prevalent. Same conditions. So he was seeing more turbines going ahead. He was talking about, you take a $900 guitar into a shop to try to sell it, or even on Reverb, he was saying, and you're going to look at upwards to a 50% hit. And that's steep. That's steep. That's super steep. So it got me thinking about, well, how did Black Friday do this year? How did Black Friday do this year? So I did a little bit of research, and I looked into, kind of did an overview of 2024 Black Friday guitar sales, and I'd like to share what I found with you guys tonight. Hold on, got some statements here to read. Uh, Absolutely happy to do it. Ben on Mark Matty can do it. I can take the responsibility. Fair enough. Uh, um, yep, there you go. You are now my official first moderator I've ever had. Thank you, Mr. Two Hats. I thank you so much for agreeing to do that and helping out, man. Feel free to block away. Oh boy. Get one. Here's your first test come up right here. Great timing. I hate to put you instantly on duty, but it's there. Um, now there were some notable deals this Black Friday. Uh, Charvel, the Pro Mod Southern Cal, was $300 off doing a special on that. The Guild F 55E was $1,000 off. I mean, there's a deal for you if you're really hungering for one of those. And done and done. Great job, Miss Two Hats. That's awesome, man. Technology, man. What a wonderful thing. Thank you, man. Now, what I did see, and kind of what backing up Gary was talking about, is consumer focus has shifted towards smaller purchases, like accessories or budget-friendly items like pedals, or budget-friendly instruments. We're getting to the Squire range. They did well. Now, this reflects inflationary pressures and reduced discretionary spending, of course, but this is across the board. Everything. This is nothing new. If you could pick up the morning papers, I was just listening to that Prince song, and read about it, and you'll see that that's across the board. Now, retail experts suggested sales of musical instruments and pro audio gear during Black Friday 2024 was lower than last year. It was lower than last year. Now, of course, again, this was impacted by economic challenges and lukewarm excitement for rehashed gear releases. Again, I said it, I have come up with a hard, enough data to say in looking up these key points that statement that there's only so many times that you can come out with a Jimmy Page, limited edition. You can only milk that cow so many times. Same thing with Slash. Same thing with fill in the blank. Before consumers just have had enough because collectors, they're truly interested. The guys who actually pay the price tag for those things. There used to be a time when they said we're only going to do a limited run. They really did that, and they didn't repeat that over and over and over and over and over again. It meant something, is what I'm trying to say. Now it's getting to the point where it's meaningless, so they aren't interested. The average Joe on the street, obviously, they're buying Squires, So their rehashed gear releases are not really working out. I'm sorry, guys. Somebody's riding a horn outside here, and I'm pretty high up, so that's pretty bad. So just buonasera to you too, sir. Now, big box retailers like Guitar Center, like they always do, their Black Friday sales start, like in July. That's just how they are. I talked about this before. They did early promotions, but overall demand was muted, and that's at best. That's at best. Ben Allmark, that was a horn. I thought it was a fax machine. You're dating yourself. Yeah, man. I live 4 stories up. I actually live in the top floor space here with a garden. roof garden. Pretty nice. But this side faces the main street. And yeah, it can get noisy sometimes. Fortunately, it's one of the reasons why I don't film my normal content. Like, imagine me trying to do that sound test with that noise. And these are sound reinforced windows, by the way. So, pretty bad. Now, were the deals? Were they good? Were they bad? Were they meh? Some standout discounts included $100 off the Epiphone ES335, and I thought that was putting it in the territory where if you were going to get one, new, because you could certainly get one secondhand, but it would be an okay thing to do. So that's one of the standouts. And $200 off the PRC models, the PRS SE models, excuse me. But many deals were comparable to previous years, failing to generate any kind of substantial buzz. In other words, the retailers were retailing. It's just, they weren't discounting certainly too deeply. Some things, I think that those 335s were not moving. 335s don't move in general. It's a great guitar, but it's not, it's not something every day that most players are going to want to gravitate towards. And they tried to move them on. And, this deal really didn't generate any buzz. Even YouTubers who are really big, diehard Epiphone guys, I didn't see one video talking about that discount. Premium guitars saw price drops as well. Limited inventory and rising bass costs dampened any kind of enthusiasm. In other words, there may have been many consumers reported deal fatigue. Now, I like to use the term deal fatigue because I experience it myself. And it's a term that I learned, and sometimes, for example, I get burnt out on negotiating on these vintage guitars with some of these dealers. Sometimes I have to go do the deal, and I have to be honest with you, I just kind of hang my head, oh God, okay, psych myself up to go do it because, there's a certain amount of salesmanship, as well as, of course, develop relationships with these people, but also there's that overhanging, everybody's trying to race to the bottom, trying to get the least, something for the least that they can, whereas I'm trying to get the most that I can for something that I tried to get the least that I could. So, deal fatigue can extend to brands as well. They failed to induce fresh, compelling products to capitalize on the shopping season. And people were just like, meh, I'm just going out there and trying to make a deal on this stuff that I don't really care about. Or it's just not working for me. Maddie, man, you are working overtime. I'm afraid I'm going to have more deleted comments than actual real ones in this episode tonight, guys. Time to take out the trash. Smash those bots. I hear you. I didn't even hear what they had to say, but I'm glad I have the help. Doing YouTube videos, filming this stuff, and some do really well, some do really crappy. And I seem to be stuck in a zone. And 3-chord, Dave and I talked about that once, but we just can't seem to break out of a particular zone these days. It gets discouraging sometimes, but Maddie, I had to tell you, man, every time you make me crack up at every moment. That gave me a real giggle. Keeps me wanting to come back for more. So thank you, man. I appreciate it. Took out the trash. Haven't heard that in a long time. The resale market also saw fewer significant upticks. It just was not booming on Reverb or the usual suspects, with players holding on to existing gear rather than upgrading. Like I said, I got stuck. I know what kind of guitar I want, I'm trying to negotiate with that guy on that one in Japan, but he's not budging. And I'm at the position where he's asking, yeah, here we go again. I'm asking somebody to bud. And I got stone cojones now. So I find it very unfeasible that he's going to find somebody that's really going to want to buy that because, again, that's a parts caster. It's vintage parts, a vintage neck and a vintage body with all the original parts on both, but still its value is a lot less than what this guy is asking. And um, nobody's going to want to buy it because the resale value whole is actually less than it is in parts. Unless somebody's going to buy it and part it out. And then that's going to take a minute too, because as I'm saying here, things are going slow, Even parts are moving slow these days. So, the resale market saw significant um, on small items, a significant outflow of small items, like I said, but they were mostly pedals from what I saw, the data that I saw, pedals and small amps, things of that nature. So there is that. Now, what does this mean for the industry in general? And does the slower Black Friday signal trouble ahead for the major guitar brands? Now, how do brands Fender, Gibson, and PRS need to adopt to stay relevant? Well, we've talked about how we know, that move into lifestyle branding is what they think is the way to go for the future for them. All of them. PRS is going to start coming out with furniture that, are made with just the right tone woods. So when you sit your ass in it, it'll ring like a bell. Try to get that out of basswood. So they're all moving into the lifestyle brand direction. And again, like I said, because Sounds, who had a partnership with Marshall and started putting out all that secondary Marshall lifestyle stuff, they made something they were able to buy the majority share of Marshall. So that program's already proven itself to be successful, but it's still more junk that, in my opinion, that's flooding the market. Oh my God, what is this now? What fresh hell is this? It's like every noise in the world tonight. Yeah, I'm not even going to reply to that one either. You can smash that bot, Maddie, at your discretion. Um, we'll explore whether this is a temporary slump or part of a larger trend as we go along. I think, again, consumer habits are changing. I think that we're seeing a big change in consumer habits. Online has dominated to the point where brick and mortar is suffering, and it's noticeable. But we suffer when the brick and mortar suffers. I've told you before, and you this, intuitively, that if you buy a product in a brick and mortar, you got a problem, you can go back with them and they can sort it out. You buy a product online from halfway around the world, there's going to be some delays and some issues getting that job done, if at all. So there's those things, that just don't bode well, in my opinion. Now, we're going to look in the future whether this is a temporary slump or part of a larger trend as the guitar world really starts changing its taste and starts getting more educated. This channel is really about educating the small studio owner, the pro, musician, the amateur musician, home guy, you know, about spending wisely because they have devalued art to the point of music, to the point where artists, the big artists, are mostly generating their income from clothing lines, perfume, alcohol, the usual crap. And how long will that go on? So, really, you know, when you look at putting an album together, just for yourself or for friends or to sell, then you really have to look at the cost of putting that together and try to put it together, as cost effectively as possible. The days of the splurging uh, budgets that I grew up on in the studio systems, I was able to make a good, I had a nice apartment in Hollywood, West Hollywood, with this girl who lived next door who was just like Penny from, Big Bang Theory. And that was a good time. And it was a lot of money slushing around. Well, those days are over. Penny's done gone. Mr. Thornhill, hello to you, sir. How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Now, that's why, I keep an eye on this stuff. You know, did anything stand out to you guys? Did you see any deals out there? Was there anything Black Friday that any of you guys bought? I'd like to hear here right now in the live stream your thoughts on Black Friday deals. Um, you know, again, I'm trying to negotiate halfway across the world for a parts caster. So, you know, getting online and seeing what the Guitar Center was only purely research. It was, I had no interest in buying anything from them. So, really, honestly, Black Friday is meaningless to me. You know, everything here is courting all the time. Courting is the Dutch word for discount. Courting this, courting that, aim plus aim, buy one, get one free. That stuff, is just gotten to the point where it's meaningless. It's meaningless. So I think that's my thoughts on it for me personally. Again, like I said, I'm looking across the world to try to find value and find something, that's pretty sweet, but it takes a little bit of effort, you know. Also, that point that I made about manufacturers rehashing, the same stuff over and over again, it really was refreshing. Not refreshing. Let's strike that. It was reassuring to know that I wasn't far off key when I've been saying all along that, this month's Jimmy Page signature guitar is wearing really thin with the consumer, and the numbers prove that out. Um, Even Joe Bonamassa's Epiphone yearly release didn't, there's been years where, and it really depends upon the model. There are some, like the three pickup Black Beauty, those things still hold their value, still hold their value. Um, you know, Other than that, it's a pretty much a downhill roller coaster on those Joe Bonamassas. And his recent release, I looked that up, didn't do years at all. Well, you think it would, but it didn't. And so, that's still a kind of rehashing an old design and putting Joe's name on it. It's no different, even though it's Epiphone, it's no different than, the Vela Bees guitar, for example, the Adam Jones. I talked about that. Interesting enough, of all of them, the very first one, the Vela Bees of that Adam Jones release, that's the one that's held value. That's the one that everybody wants. All the other ones, and I mean all the other ones, and I do believe there's 6 or 7 others in that series, other than that Veil of Bees, no bueno. You can even find, I said before, I've seen them in the shops that are Epiphone dealers, still sitting there, gathering dust. But again, these are just rehashes of classic designs, and uh, they're seeing the writing on the wall, but the data that I saw really backs that up. So I find that interesting. I really did. You know, I I think. Hold on one second here while I type something. Yeah, I'm doing a quick search here, guys. So, um, sorry, I had my notes come up. So this Black Friday, in the end, really signaled a major slowdown. And well, it was another tea leaf showing the major slowdown in the general guitar market. Um, Fender again discounted, Charvel discounted, Phone discounted. A lot of guys discounted, but it really didn't resonate. And hold on here. I had some sales figures here. I'm trying to find. The increase in sales revenue was smaller than expected, even with discounts starting earlier in November. Yeah, yeah, yep. So according to Music Radar and Sweetwater, uh, the deals that really did well had a focus on mid-range affordability rather than high-end splurges. So high-end guys, I guess, is one of the takeaways from this discussion tonight, have backed away from the table. They're again, and who are the high-end guys? Generally, mostly they're collectors. And again, they're not seeing anything out there that's worth running into the shops or online, for that matter, to buy. This is from my sources are Music Radar and Sweetwater for that. Uh, so they're just not doing it. It is interesting that the lower range and the mid range affordability. Uh, in mid range affordability, we're talking about in the $500 to $700 range, the $500 to $700 range. So you can't even get into one of the Inspired by Gibson Epiphones for that kind of money. Yeah, no, that those were not doing so well. Not doing so well. Of course, rising production costs and inflation are forcing manufacturers to increase retail prices, and this is leading to a perception of declining value in new guitars. In other words, that price to quality to value, that ratio that I always talk about, so important, is very skewed to the point where people aren't seeing the value as compared to the price that is being asked. And two hats. At the guitar shop, we don't take part in Black Friday or other sales. It's great. Yeah, because I think most consumers have seen, here in the Netherlands, the consumer agencies came out with a report and said that they were finding that a lot of people, especially online, were slowly in the months before Black Friday increasing the price on an item like this cup. Say in July it was 50 cents, but somehow by September it got to $1, and then they gave you a half off sale, and they told you, you were getting a great bargain. They were doing that kind of stuff. And I think people are getting, a little leery of it. Again, said, it's starting to come across as being meaningless. Several brands have focused on limited editions or cosmetic upgrades, way to kind of shake things up. Apart from the lifestyle branding, they said, well, let's actually do something about the instruments that got us here in the first place. Fender came out with an Ultra Strat in bubblegum metallic, which, despite a $700 discount, still retails for $14.99. Now, I don't know, guys. I didn't wake up this morning and say to myself, I want to spend $1,500 on a bubblegum colored Strat. I don't know about you guys. I don't know how you start your mornings. None of mine ever have or ever will start that way with that thought. The lack of groundbreaking designs or innovations, again, according to Music Radar, Gear for Music, those are my sources on this one. Again, is a contributing factor in consumer disinterest. So, you know, they're going to look at this, the guitar manufacturers, I predict, and they're going to say, okay, well, we tried to give them the inspired by Gibson line with the headstock that we had to license out, which tacked on an extra $200 to the price of the guitar. People aren't really buying those in droves. Let's get back down to building, those mid-tier affordable guitars. And will it work or not? I don't know. They have to sustain themselves somehow in an economic decline. And if that means they have to sell more cheaper guitars than less expensive guitars, if you follow the economics of that statement, then you understand why they're going in that direction. Mr. Bogfoot, how you doing? Man, it's so glad to have you here every time you show up, man, from Newfoundland. Thank you so much for taking the time. It's good to have friends all over the world. It really is. That's, like I said, it's one of the reasons that keeps me going, guys. Sometimes I get discouraged, I'll put out a video and it'll get less than 100 views in a day. And, and that'll just really bum me out. Or I'll put out a video and by the end of the day, it'll be, 1,000. Like what I recently, which I wasn't expecting at all. 1,000 plus, climbing. So it gets a little discouraging, but I guess what that really taught me is that, you got to keep swinging and eventually you'll hit something. So guys like you, Mr. Bogfoot, always joining in, taking the time to watch, keeps me swinging. Keeps me swinging. So, economic pressures may also be pushing consumers towards used instruments or delaying big purchases altogether. I always want used. Yeah, I'm looking for a Strat. Now, by the way, guys, I'm still looking for a Les Paul I like. But I'm looking for a keeper Strat. I'm looking for a keeper guitar. And I'm in my Strat phase right now, so I'm not thinking about Les Pauls. But if I come across a Les Paul that's nice, a Greco or Tokai, something like that, I would go that direction as well. I'm just looking for a keeper guitar. And I'm really being as frugal as possible with it, but I'm asking too much. But I think sometimes when you ask too much, you may actually get it. So let's just see. But most consumers are feeling it as well. It's obvious in the numbers here. It's obvious. Love your discussions, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I want to hear that too. It's good to hear that I'm just not sitting here, rambling on about nonsense. There is a broader point to all of this. It's caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. And guys like, I want to keep a guitar, but there are three kinds of guitar guys, according to Five World, their channel. They did a video on the three types of guitar guys. I'm what's known as a catch and release guy. I get a guitar, I enjoy it for a little while, put through its paces, maybe even record with it or do something with it, then I let it go. I didn't think of myself as that way, until recently that I see that that's how I really am, because there's some that I would like to keep, I think are great, but I'm not sentimental. So I'm able to do that. That takes a certain kind of personality. It's probably developed in the fact that I've had to move so much over my lifetime. Living in 5 different countries, I had to shed a lot of stuff. I wasn't able to keep a lot of stuff sometimes. So I think that's part of that. But I am trying to find myself a keeper Strat, and then maybe eventually, I'd be happy with that for a while. And then down the line, find that keeper Les Paul, we'll see. But again, I'm trying to do that as I'm asking too much. I'm asking finished Japanese guitar where you stand pickups. But again, like I said, sometimes if you ask too much, you make it. So we'll see. But that's how consumers are being right now, and that's a good thing. But it's a bad thing for the overall economy in terms of the dollar circulating, dollars in circulation. So a lot of stuff there, guys. um, did I cover everything in my notes here? I think I did. Yeah, yeah. I almost forgot about the bubblegum metallic Fender Ultra Strat. Let me look that up because again, I want. Boy, I wish I could share the photo. You guys can look it up here again. Up yourselves. Now let me take a look at that again, man, to see if I was being unkind. Nope. It looks like Pepto Bismol came out with their own, branded Strat, the Bismo Strat, because that's exactly what it looks like, and it's got those fake aged knobs on it that they're trying to look vintage, but it just looks, you know, discolored plastic. It's just, not in a good way. You guys got to check that out. The Fender Limited Edition American Ultra Strat Bubblegum. And this thing is $1,500. I don't know if too many cats are going to rock this one. I really don't. Look it up, guys. Take a look at it. That is a god ugly guitar with a rosewood fretboard. I hope it's rosewood. It better not Paul Ferrer. But again, it's stuff like this. So I'm saying they're trying to jazz it up a little bit, but it's just not working, man. I really want you guys to look that up and look and see that for yourself. It is horrific. My first Strat, a Fender 75th anniversary, made in Mexico, was the first one I ever played. Disliked playing it, and it turned me away from Strats. Then I bought a Fender made in Mexico, Dave Murray Strat, and I love playing it. Yeah, again, it's hey Jimbo. By the way, my friend Matty Two Hats has something for you, as my reply to you. Yeah, it's subjective. Because like I said, I've got that Squire that early made in China one that most people think is pretty nice. Um, and it doesn't make me dislike Strats, but I cannot get along with that neck. It's just too thin at the nut, too small at the nut. So, all right, man. If you were only joking, then you can stick around. As long as you were joking, that's fine. Then you're good. Um, yeah, I just see dire things. I see a bad moon rising. I see trouble on its way. I really do. And so does Gary over at Gary's Guitars. He thinks so as well. And I kind of, I fox with it. I fox with what he's saying. You know, old New York slang there. But really, honestly, it's not surprising. It's not surprising, and we'll see where it goes. We'll see where all this ends up. I don't know. Um, these things go up and down. They go in cycles. Man, we're definitely we sliding down. I talked about it. I talked about that rolling years and years now. I've been talking about that snowball. And it just goes down, and what does it do? It gathers bigger as it goes down because it's gathering more, corpses of people who thought that a guitar. I like what Gary said. Gary said people tell you that guitar is a luxury. He said that guitar is not a luxury; it's a liability. And I really like that. Jimbo, yes, says My best guitar purchase was a Type 1 Gibson SG owned by Angus Young with brass hardware. Cost me £255 in 2005. Wow, yeah. I'd say so. It was, again, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about back in the day, collectors would buy these guitars. Something like that would be far more now, I'm sure, because it had an exclusivity to it. They were buying the exclusiveness of it. But when you rehash that, if they came, with a Type 2 and a Type 3 and a Type 4, I'm sorry, not Type, but if they came out with version 3, version 4 of this Angus Young, it would dilute the market of those. Then you'd have people saying, "Well, this is not the first version. This is the second version, and therefore." And collectors don't like dealing with that. They don't like dealing like that. Oh, Maddie, you don't have to delete Jimbo complete. Oh, I guess by deleting one, you deleted them all. Sorry, Jimbo. Sorry, man. Didn't get to you, guy. You're welcome back, but. Yeah, my man is on it tonight. So sorry about that, Jimbo, but I like your point. I appreciate you chatting in, and you are welcome back. So yeah, Jimbo's welcome back. Jimbo's welcome, Maddie. He's good. I also have the 71 early white Marshall transistor amp, apparently owned by Keith Moon of all people. I don't doubt that either. Because a lot of that early stuff, depending upon where you sourced it at, it had really interesting provenance. My Eplex had an interesting kind of similar story. I'm no Botlow, yeah. Cheers, Matty Two Hats. I'm gonna tell you, man. I have given the keys of power to Maddie, guys, and he ain't taking no smack, so I appreciate that. But Jimbo, you're all right. You're okay. You can stick around, sir. Anyway, I think I beat that horse to death, as I say often, and it's no exaggeration. I've covered that subject enough, but it was worst Black Friday ever. I worked at some back alley guitar shop when I was doing schoolwork experience in UK. Lots of treasure. Yeah. Yeah, if you were there in the so Tin Pan Alley area, I was just there with Guitarista earlier in the year over in the UK, visiting and doing business. I know a lot of good stuff rolled through there back in this day. Hell, that was something that Jimi Hendrix himself had, So a lot of good stuff out there on the secondary market, guys, for sure. All right, I am exhausted. As usual on Wednesday night. I'm more perky and fresh on the Sunday at Mike's. The Wednesday night hump, man, depending upon the week, and boy, has this been a week, the hump's a little bit harder. I'm starting to notice. I'm drinking practically hummingbird juice here. Jimbo got some chat GBT vibes. Maybe. That's pretty funny, man. Maddie, you're killing me tonight. Thank you, man. Thank you, Ben. Thank you to all. So I'm going to check out here. I think better to stop while you're ahead. I want to thank everybody for watching this. Guys, one last pitch I'm going to put. It's Christmas time. I don't ask for super chats. I don't ask for donations or anything like that. Never have. But I would like you to consider going to my Bandcamp page, so bandcamp.com. You guys know it, Bandcamp. Looking up my band, Asinoke or Mike McWilliams, and buying an album for this Christmas season. That would really, the album sales have kind of dropped off, and I think that I'd like to encourage you guys to help me out and buy something. It really helped me out, especially this time of year. And by the way, that guitar that I sent to my nephew made it. He got it. So I'm pleased to see that my nephew got that Squire that I had refurbished. It arrived in one piece, surprisingly enough. So that was good. I'm not some bot. No, man, don't be offended, Jim. We're having a joke here. You're not getting the context of it because we've been having bot attacks. A couple of weeks ago, a month ago now, I suppose, some weird guy contacted me by email and said, "Hey, man, I can turn your channel around. You know, you're trying to get to this level and I can do it for you. And you do this, and this." And I said, "No." And I blocked him. And since then, we have been getting attacked by bots. And I mean, I'm just a small live stream here, but I know it was him who did it as a retribution. So instead of getting mad about it, we kind of joke about it here. So we're trying to determine who's a bot and who's not. And now we're not trying to discourage people from being here because we want everybody here. We want to grow the community. So Jimbo, you are welcome, sir. I recognize you are not a bot, sir. But that's just the background on it. We're just having a fun. Nothing serious. Nothing serious. Like this guy that just came in ramming Terravov, that's a bot. What I'm talking about. So welcome, man. I welcome you to the live stream. I'd like to see you here as a regular. I'd like to see you join the community. And again, guys, help me out. If you can consider for a family friend, for somebody, go over to Asanoki Bandcamp.com page and buy an album. Help me out. So you guys take care. I will see you around. Have a good one. Bye bye. Thank you, Maddie. Appreciate you being a mod tonight. You take care, guys.